All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Jae'Sean Tate. I just made a video you'll probably see it on the main channel. It's probably up already. I did a video about like David Nwaba or Sterling Brown. Going into this next season, the Houston Rockets, Sterling Brown, David Nwaba, they're both expiring. So hopefully they re-sign one of them. But you have Daniel House. You've got Jae'Sean Tate. You've got a bunch of guards. There's a ton of guards on this team. But specifically, I want to talk about Jae'Sean Tate because Daniel House was the guy a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, playoff time. I mean, the whole bubble shenanigans. I kind of really thought that bubble Daniel House version was going to be kind of the welcome party for his career. This season didn't really see much from him, with injuries, with COVID, with everything. But when he was in there, he'll have a couple of good games here and there. But I think it's pretty clear that, long-term, Daniel House isn't going to become a star or anything like that. But at what is he, I think his contract's $7.2 million for 2 years. I mean, it's super solid. That's super solid. So I'm not trying to discredit him, but I definitely don't want this guy to be our starting small forward for a long time. And I think Jae'Sean Tate could develop into it. And I've made a couple of videos on the channel about Jae'Sean Tate. But here's the thing. I'll pull up the small forward free agency list here. But at 11 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, a steal and a half per game, Jae'Sean Tate deserves more opportunity. He's gotten his three-point percentage shot up to 30%, which sounds horrible, but considering the way he started the season and the way his whole career has been, 30% three-point shooting in the NBA as a rookie, it's fine. That is just fine. He only takes 2.5 per game. That's just fine. I mean, his field goal percentage is 56. He shoots 61% when it's not a three. He'll be just fine. That being said, I know that the Houston Rockets, I know Stone has come out and said that they want to be aggressive in free agency. And even with the trades. Looking at the small forward position, I don't think that this is the year to really make a big-time signing. Unless you can get Kawhi Leonard, which I see a lot of people saying Kawhi's going back to LA. Personally, I see LA flopping this year. If they flop this year, I could definitely, and I just honestly think Kawhi would leave if they get completely embarrassed. Because if that doesn't happen, they need to figure something out. Because it's Paul George, that whole duo isn't going to work. It's not going to work. They're not going to win the championship. But if they do, I will be wrong. I will be completely wrong. And that will be awesome because I really want him to finally do it. But you look at the small forward position. I mean, outside of Kawhi Leonard, there's not much there. I'm definitely not paying Otto Porter Jr. any money. I mean, I've had enough of a headache the 3 years he was here in Chicago. I swear to God, I've seen Otto Porter Jr. play basketball 0 times in my life. I literally don't think I've ever seen Otto Porter Jr. play basketball, and I'm a goddamn Bulls fan. So I'm definitely not paying Otto Porter Jr. any, maybe $1. But that's about it. Will Barton's an interesting target. Very interesting target. He's a good three-point shooter. He's improved drastically on offense this year and last season. Defensively, he's a menace, absolute menace. He can 100% play defense at a high level no matter what. Can guard a lot of dudes. But he's going to want to get paid. He's going to want to get paid nicely. I mean, this year he's making about $13 million. Depending on how they structure the deal, I'm not sold on Will Barton enough to pay him $15 million a year. I don't want to be locked in with Will Barton at $15 million a year for the next 3 years if he's not going to be a stud, because we have yet to really see what Jae'Sean Tate can hold. Andre Iguodala is a no-go. Kelly Oubre is interesting. I've made a couple of videos about Kelly Oubre, but it's almost the same thing with Kelly Oubre. I mean, he's actually making $15 million this year. He hasn't had an incredible year. He's had a pretty down year. Golden State, that just wasn't his fit. But it's the same thing. I don't know if I want to pay Kelly Oubre this crazy amount of money. Now, maybe if the Rockets were to maybe if they re-sign Kelly Olynyk, they get Cade Cunningham, maybe they make maybe they make a trade or a free agent signing, and it's looking like, all right, yeah, this team could be relevant. Maybe get Kelly Oubre. But I'm much more on board with just letting Jae'Sean Tate see what he can do. See what Jae'Sean Tate can do, see what Daniel House can do, try and get Sterling Brown, try and get David Nwaba, get one of those guys, and just see how it works for one more season if you can't get any of these stars. You can go out, you can get a free agent, you can go out and get a kind of like a veteran free agent or even a younger free. You can go out and you can get any backup small forward, preferably with veteran experience, maybe even like an Andre Iguodala, just in case it doesn't work, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Maybe they go out and get like a Derrick Jones Jr. or even a Doug McDermott. Like a Doug McDermott would be awesome on this Rockets team. It's a great three-point shooter. I mean, he's like a career 43% shooter from deep. And this is a guy who, isn't great on defense, but say Jae'Sean Tate and Daniel House, either they get hurt, they're not having good seasons, they're not having a good game. I mean, Doug McDermott's a guy who you can throw in here 25 minutes a night and he'll do just fine. He'll knock down a couple open threes and he'll do his job. So that's more of what I'm looking for this season with the Houston Rockets is like let's see what Jae'Sean Tate can do and let's sign like a Derrick Jones Jr. or a Doug McDermott just in case you need extra depth at that position and you're still trying to be relevant. That's just my opinion. I'm really curious what you guys have to hear. If you're not sold on Doug McDermott as a player, maybe like a guy like Reggie Bullock, who also is going to be a free agent. I mean, these are guys you don't have to pay like more than $5 million to. So I think either way, it's something you got to at least think about. Even like a fucking Maurice Harkless. Like, how could you be Mo Harkless? Like, I would do that 100%. So let me know who you guys want the Rockets to get at the small forward position, whether they're on the roster right now, whether it's through draft, whether it's through free agency. Let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. I'll see you guys later.